In today's video, I'm going to show you how to build the 3 basic animal farms of cow, sheep, and chicken. On top of that, I'm also going to explain to you how each and every single one of them work as we build it so that you can make your own designs in the future or modify each of them to fit your world. Behind me, you'll see an example of each of these farms being used in my Forever World. If you want to see more of my Forever World and all the different stuff that we get up to over there, then a playlist will be linked in the description down below. It's just a basic Let's Play, but I try to do things like explain the stuff that I'm building and also teach you guys a little bit about the mechanics of Minecraft while having a lot of fun, making a lot of jokes, and seeing a lot of turtles. Can I help you? A real quick thing before we get into the video, if you guys remember, I did say at the beginning of this video that we'd be doing the 3 basic animal farms, and that's because an automatic pig farm, number 1, not only doesn't exist as far as I'm aware, but number 2, isn't really needed because all pigs ever provide is meat, and you'll get plenty of meat from both your cow crusher and your chicken farm, so you don't really need to worry about that. Just keep pigs to like decorative mobs that you put around your barnyard, or if you want to put a saddle on them or all that stuff. Other than that, they're pretty much useless to make a farm out of, so don't really worry about it. With that out of the way, the first farm I'm going to show you today is the cow crusher. This is the cheapest farm, and it is the one I recommend that you build first because it requires the most manual maintenance. You see all those little cute baby cows in the background? We're going to slaughter them. So all you're going to need for this farm is you're going to need 2 hoppers, 1 chest, 1 water bucket, 8 blocks of your choice, 8 building blocks of your choice. I personally like to use glass because it's a transparent block, and I'll show you why that's important later. But if you want to use a solid block like stone or wood, then you're going to have a slab and 7 building blocks. Then you're going to have 1 staircase or 2 ladders. I know I only put 1 ladder here, but you're going to need either of those. And then you're going to need wheat to breed the cows and lead them. And you're also going to need a lead to get the cow into the cow crusher. And I'll show you how to do that once we're done building the farm. Now, once you've found where you want your farm to be, you're going to go to the center of that and you're going to dig down 1 block. Then you're going to find where you want the front of the farm. So this could be toward your house, toward other farms, toward a grand stage so everybody can watch the murder. And then you're going to dig out 2 blocks. You're going to come over here to the very front of the farm and you're going to place a double chest in this configuration. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to shift, crouch, however you do it, and you're going to place a hopper going into this chest. The hopper is a block that whenever an item is fed into the top of this, it will go into wherever the nozzle of the hopper is pointing. Okay, so that means that if we go over here and we break these 2 blocks and we look, we can see the nozzle is pointing into that chest. So whatever item that we end up throwing into this hopper, it will get absorbed by the hopper and then go into the chest. This can be done with any containers like barrels, and also further down the line in this series I'll show you how to build farms using droppers and dispensers, but that's not important right now. The point is that if you want to use a hopper in any of your designs, you just need to make sure that the nozzle is going into whatever you want it to go in. Once you do that, you're going to take your building blocks and you're going to build them like so. You're going to put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then you're going to crouch and put 1 over the chest. This is where I was talking about you need transparent blocks, because if you put a solid block here, like for example, if we put this dirt block here, we cannot open this chest. So this is why I recommend using transparent blocks like glass so that you can open the chest. But you can also do something like, for example, if you wanted to do an upside down staircase, you could do that and that would allow you to open the chest. You could also do something like a slab, which can go at the bottom if you want it to go like this, and you can still open the chest, but that is if you wanted to use solid building blocks. But for now, we're going to go ahead with my glass block design because this also allows you to keep an eye on the farm better, but I understand that glass is hard to get a hold of in the early parts of the game. Just keep in mind with this design, you need a transparent block here in order to open this chest, or alternatively you'll have to dig 2 down and put the hopper going into the top of the chest like this instead of going into the side like I have it. Okay, with that out of the way, go ahead and also come over here and build 2 up on all sides just like that. Then you're going to place your staircase like this. This allows you to get access to the farm. Once you're on top of the farm like this, you're going to take your water bucket and you're going to put it in the bottom glass. Listen to me, the bottom glass. Do not put your water bucket up here. If you put it up here, it will allow your cows to jump out, and that's a no bueno. Once you have your farm built, you're gonna go up to your cow and you're gonna put a lead on it, and then you're gonna pull out some wheat so he's looking at you. Wheat is used to lure pigs and cows because that's also what's used to breed them. If something is used to breed a mob, you can usually pretty reliably count on it to be able to let you lead that mob to places you want that mob to go. In any case, once you get up here, you're going to take out some temporary blocks and you're going to go ahead and you're going to build a little platform. This is just to make it easier for you to maneuver with the cow. Cows are very stubborn, but they're also really big, so it's harder to get them into the hole where you want to actually get them, right? So you're going to have to walk around, you're going to have to maneuver this guy, and you're going to have to basically push him until he gets into the hole. Get into the hole, get into the hole, get into the hole, get into the hole, get into the hole. Please get into the hole. Nope, he's gonna get pushed off again. Sometimes if you put the wheat away when you're pushing them, it gets a little bit easier because they're not as desperate to get to you specifically. Yeah, just like that. So yeah, sometimes you got to push the wheat away. Some people like to put the walls or fence posts up here to stop the animals from bouncing out once they get in, but you don't actually need to do that because the water is too low for them to actually bounce out of. I can show you with myself. You'll see that if I put 2 water down here and I go in here and I try to bounce out of this hole, I will never actually be able to get out of here because we have the water so low. Now, once you have 2 cows in your farm, they're going to start bouncing up and down like this, and you're going to basically breed them until you have 24 cows. Get out of here. You want 24, listen to me, 24 cows need to be in this cow crusher, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and use a spawn egg to speed this process up, but you're gonna go until you have 24 cows in the cow crusher. Now, the reason we need 24 cows in this cow crusher is because we're going to be taking advantage of something called the entity cramming. Entity cramming means that once there are 24 entities in a 1x1 space, once a 25th entity gets introduced, the oldest entity dies, and the 25th entity replaces it as the 24th. That's a really complicated way of saying that every single time a new cow is bred or spawned, the oldest one will pass away, and we will get all of their leather and goodies and meat down in that chest, right? So that's why you need all of the wheat, because you need to breed. I had a lot of baby cows in this one, so it's hard for me to actually breed them. They're not growing up. So I'm just going to show you, right? If I spawn another cow in here, then you will see that you'll see another cow dies. Every time I keep spawning another cow will end up dying. Now I know that this looks scary, right? When they get like this and they start jumping up and down and they start bouncing really high, it looks really scary. But if you saw in the opening, I did not have a fence post over mine, and they were all adults and none of them were getting out because they can't get out. Like I showed you earlier, as long as you do not put water up here, as long as you only put water down there, they cannot get out. All right, so you just need to keep bringing in your adult cows just like this, and you'll see that they die every time the cap goes above 25, and every time one of those big cows dies, then their beef and their leather all sink into this chest. This is why I recommend this to be the earliest farm you make, because it's not only going to be a good source of meat for you, but it's also going to help you build up leather. You need leather for books. Books are important for buying mending books from villagers. They're important for enchanting tables. They're important for, I mean, just even decorations. If you want to build with bookshelves and chiseled bookshelves, you need leather for books, and leather is one of the hardest resources to come by if you do not have a farm early on. There's a much better leather farm that I'll teach you about later on in this series, but it's way more complicated, requires way more prep and setup, and so this is just what I recommend for the early thing. Make sure that you get this cow crusher built and keep on top of it. Always be going in and trying to breed the cows once they're old enough, except when you have a ton of baby cows like this. And yeah, that is the cow crusher. So let's go ahead and move on to the chicken farm. So I mistakenly said the chicken farm was next. I was incorrect because the chicken farm is more expensive. Next up, we're going to talk about the wool farm. Okay, because this is a little bit less expensive than the chicken farm, and I'm trying to go in order of most expensive order of least expensive to most expensive. Anyway, enough rambling. So for this farm, you're going to need 2 chests, 1 hopper, 1 rail, 1 minecart with hopper, one observer, one dispenser, at least one pair of shears. If you want to use the maximum time in between checking on this farm, you'll want 9 pairs of shears, but 1 pair will get you started. 1 redstone dust, 8 building blocks of your choice. You can use any building blocks that you want. This time I'm using glass because I just like to keep an eye on the farm, but solid building blocks will not affect the collection system this time. And you're also going to need 1 wheat and 1 lead in order to get the sheep into the farm. You do not breed sheep with this one. I'll explain a little bit more later, but you're only going to have 1 sheep per cell. Listen to me, 1 sheep per cell. If you don't do 1 sheep per cell, then this farm is going to become horribly inefficient and it's not going to work right, okay? Okay, just like before, we're going to have a 3x3 area. You're going to go to the middle of that area and you're going to dig down 1, 2, 3, okay? Then once you're here, you're going to go ahead and dig yourself out a little hole to work with. I recommend just kind of giving yourself enough space to maneuver around so you're not like stuck. But wherever you want the front of the farm, you're going to dig it further than what you've got, right? So if you get all of these walls out 1 by 1, you're going to dig 2 out this way, because the front of the farm is where you're going to come down to the collection system, okay? We'll start with our collection system like always. We're going to start out with a double chest. Then you're going to come back here and you're going to make sure underneath the hole, you're going to crouch and put your hopper going into your double chest, okay? Then you're going to take out a rail. You're going to crouch. You're going to put the rail on top of the hopper, and then you're going to put the minecart with hopper on top of the rail. Do not, listen to me, do not break this rail. If you break this rail, then it can be more difficult for the minecart with hopper to collect the wool that sits on top of the grass block that we're going to put above, okay? With the collection system done, you're going to go ahead and you're going to break out of this little area so that you can jump out of here. Once you're out of this hole, you're going to want to cover this little hole up temporarily, just so you can make sure that you have a place to or platform to work with when you're trying to get the sheep into the farm. So me personally, I like to just kind of cover this area up and then take a shovel and dig path blocks to show where I'm going to be digging my staircase when I'm done with the farm. After that is all said and done, you're going to want to go ahead and place a block in the center above the hopper minecart. Now, this is very important. Grass blocks are hard to come by if you don't have silk touch, and this is meant to be an early game farm. So if you did like me and you dug this 9x9 area out with a path block in order to mark where you wanted the farm, and you don't have a grass block to replace right here, you only have a dirt block, you're going to need to break at least one of these and place another dirt block there, and then wait for the grass to spread, okay? If it helps, you can go ahead and just kind of break all of these around it and just go ahead and replace dirt blocks all around the circle just to kind of give it a better chance. But this middle block, listen to me, this middle block must be a grass block, okay? It's gonna be a lot easier if this is a grass block, okay? Once you've got that going, you're gonna go ahead and build up 2 on 3 sides, including the front, right? So you're going to go 2 blocks up all the way around, and then you're going to come over here. You're going to dig 1 in, and you're going to take your observer and you're going to place it, placing that middle block, okay? This can be kind of stupid sometimes because observers are stupid, but you'll know you've done it right once you have this arrow pointing towards you, okay? If you need to double check, you can break the block behind it and make sure that the red dot is pointing towards you. This is very important, and you're going to need to break this block anyway. So observers are very special blocks that when you place them, they have a face on the front. The block directly in front of this observer is always under, well, observation. Anytime there is any kind of update to this observer, I'll get back here so you can see if you watch that red dot, it will update a redstone pulse. Any kind of update to this air block in front of it will do a redstone pulse. So if you place a block, if you break a block, if you path a block even, it will do a redstone pulse. If we put a redstone dust down back here, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. If we go ahead and place a block, you'll see that redstone lights up just like that. No matter what we do, any update to this block in front of the observer will cause a redstone pulse to send out. If we put our dispenser feeding, well, didn't want to really do it that way, but if we put our dispenser facing out here, and then we put, like, say, a little path block in there, and then we come over here and we place this, if you watch the dispenser, you'll see that the path block shoots out of the dispenser. Now, once you get that observer placed in there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to come over inside of here, and we're going to place a dispenser facing us. This can be a little bit difficult sometimes because of the way block placements work, but you're going to go ahead and you're going to place that. Then you're going to place a block here. You're going to place a redstone dust here, and then we're going to go ahead and test it just to make sure it works. So you might want to do something like break this block in front of the observer. You can see that it shot something out of there. You saw the redstone pulse go out. So we now know that the observer and dispenser is working. So over here, if we return to the circuit that I flipped around because I had to rebuild it, I'll explain real quick how a dispenser works. So there's two items in this game that people often get confused. That's a dispenser and a dropper. A dropper, well, drops items. It shoots items out, sometimes at high velocities, and a dropper can shoot an item from one dropper to another. We'll explain that more when droppers come up in future farms. But for now, we're going to be using a dispenser. The key difference is that while a dispenser can shoot out an item, like if we go ahead and we put this here, you'll see that it shoots out the item. It can also use the item. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to just do this real quick, and I'm going to put a little sheep in here so that you guys can see how this works. Okay, if I go ahead and I put a pair of shears into the dispenser, and then we go ahead and we send a little pulse, you'll see that it does shear the sheep. Okay, and then if we go back in, you'll see that it's just lost some durability. So the dispenser can actually use items. This includes things like water buckets and fire charges, and that is why we're using a dispenser in order to get this all done. You're now free and naked, my little friend. Real quick, guys, I just realized that I forgot to explain to you the difference between a hopper and a minecart with hopper, and the reason that we're doing it in such a roundabout way for this farm. So the important thing to realize is that a hopper can only pick up items if there is either open air above it or a block that is not a full block. This does not just mean slabs. This can mean carpets, or it can mean a mud block, for example. I think honey blocks also do the same thing, as long as it is not a full block. So you can see we have this slab here on top of the hopper, and if I throw my if I don't suck, maybe. If I throw my shovel on top of the slab, the hopper instantly picks it up, puts it into the chest, okay? But if we put a full block on top of the hopper and we go ahead and we stand on this and we throw the shovel down, you'll see that the shovel does not go through. It cannot go through because there is not a full block, or there's not at least less than a full block on top of the hopper. So the reason that we do hopper minecarts is because hopper minecarts can pull through a full block, but the problem is that they cannot feed directly into a chest. So if I put this here, you cannot put rails on top of chests for some reason, but if I put this here and then I put the hopper minecart here, and then I break this so the hopper minecart falls straight down, and then we throw the shovel into the hopper minecart, you'll see that it does not go into the chest. It just stays inside of the hopper minecart. Now, you'll notice that when I break this block to get this hopper minecart to drop down, the rail also drops down, which drops the hopper minecart far too low for it to actually pick up items. So if I did something like this, right, and I went on top and I threw our trusty little testing shovel onto the top of this block, you'll see that it actually doesn't go anywhere. And the reason for that is because the hopper minecart is too low. So the reason that we put a hopper just like this with a rail and the hopper minecart on top is so that it is full enough. Now, if we go ahead and we build up just like this, we put a block over here, and then I go ahead and I build up on this side, and I throw my testing shovel onto the block. It gets pulled through the hopper minecart into this hopper and then into our chest, and that is why we use a hopper minecart. So if you're ever trying to pull things through a solid block, you'll always choose a hopper minecart over a hopper, but you have to put the hopper minecart on top of a rail on top of a hopper. If you don't have the rail, by the way, you literally cannot place, I'm clicking, you cannot place the hopper minecart. With that little detour aside, back to our farm. To finish off this farm, you're going to go ahead and you're going to want to put a block on top of the dispenser so that the sheep cannot get out. Looks like I forgot to tell you guys to grab stairs earlier so that you can actually get the sheep into the farm, but go ahead and grab yourself a staircase so that you can jump up here. Do the thing that I said earlier with the cow farm. Build yourself out a little platform to kind of make it easier. Then you're going to go ahead and go find yourself a sheep, and the exact same thing as earlier. You're going to do a lead with a wheat piece so that they follow you, and you're going to get them up here, and now you just want to get them into the hole. Thankfully, sheep are a tad easier to maneuver than cows because they're not quite as big, but you're just going to want to go ahead and try to see if you can get this sheep into the hole. Just more maneuvering. It's very difficult sometimes. Thankfully, after the sheep, the chickens will be a lot easier to get into their space. But yeah, so you just want to go ahead, try to get this sheep into its hole. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. No, get in the hole. Get. Please get in the hole. Just like before, if you don't pull the wheat out, it can be a little bit easier to get them into the hole. I don't know what it is about holding the wheat, but holding the wheat gets them on top of the oh my lord. I think the next time I do one of these tutorials, I'm gonna have to like set the world to, oh my god, look at the cow fountain back there. Oh my gosh. Look at them go. Anyway, once you have your sheep in the hole, your farm is pretty much done. You can come back here and redig your staircase so that you can get back to your collection system. If you're worried about this hopper minecart moving, I mean, don't, as long as you're not going down there. But what I do recommend for this area is that you get yourself a torch and you light it up to prevent any mobs from spawning. Really, it only requires just one torch, but you can put a couple just to be safe if you want to do that. But generally speaking, you don't have to worry about that. You can actually, even if you wanted to, you could come back behind here and you could just like fill this like entire area up so that it is like literally impossible for mobs to spawn. You can just fill this whole area up, just boom, 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 and then place yourself a little torch right here just so they don't spawn on this block, and then that's it. As long as you can get to your collection system. As long as this sheep is in here, eventually it will eat the grass and turn it into a dirt block. So if I set the tick rate to say 1,000 here, and I go ahead and, oh, I forgot to put our shears. Go ahead and put your shears in the dispenser. Apparently I forgot to do that, but anyway, if you we go ahead and set the tick rate to 1,000 and we just kind of keep an eye out on the sheep, you'll see as soon as that dirt block turns to, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's going really fast now. Maybe 1,000 was too high, but you can see every time the sheep munches on the grass, or every time the grass grows back, the dispenser triggers the shears and it shears the sheep, and then the wool gets collected by that hopper minecart, and then it comes down in here, and that is how you build an automatic wool farm. Remember, you need only 1 sheep per cell. Do not try to stuff like 4 sheep in here. It's not going to work out that well. And the reason for this, I guess I should explain the reason. Let me not be the YouTuber that's like, hey, just don't do it, just trust me. The reason that you don't want more than 1 sheep in here is because then the shears might not target a sheep with wool on them. What I mean by that is that, let's say that this sheep gets sheared, and then we have a second sheep inside of this area. The next time one of those sheeps munches on the grass, the shears might target the naked sheep instead of the sheep with wool on it, which will slow down the efficiency of your farm by way more than you think, just by having an extra sheep in there. So only do 1 sheep per cell. It's okay to just build out, and you're always going to have a natural 1 block separation. So if you want to build these farms side by side, all you have to do is come out and build the barrier on this side instead, and then you can come back here and do the same thing that you did here, you know, with your dispenser facing you. If you can you can get it to work. Sometimes you got to crouch, and then you just come over, and then you can break this block. And I mean, look at this, it's just so pretty. And then you'll just lead another sheep into here with the exact same setup, and you can do them down the line in a row. You can do them in a little circle if you wanted to, all of that good stuff, but you'll need the same amount of supplies for each cell. I know that you might be thinking, oh, then I can just like run everything into this chest. No, because it has to be like directly beneath, and it can get a little bit expensive to do more than 1 cell. But The maximum you'll ever need is about 16 cells. You can do all 16 of the wool colors or 16 of one color, like I mentioned earlier. But the max you'll ever need is 16 cells. But for a lot of people, just 1 to 2 cells is enough to have all the wool you can ever need. And on the plus side, another thing is that in case you ever need to have a different color wool, this is also good because you could just come up and dye your sheep. You can only dye them when they have a full woolen coat. You can't dye them when they're naked, but you just come up and dye them. And then the next time that this goes off, you'll have blue wool in the chest instead of white wool. Now we can go on to the chicken farm. Finally, on to the cow. This is the chicken's time to shine, cow. No. Finally, onto the chicken farm. Now, you'll notice that in my hotbar, I already have some materials, and that's because I'm going to teach you guys a trick that's going to make your life so much easier when building this farm. Okay, so early on into your world, when you get your first real good set of iron, after you build your cow crusher, you have your armor and everything, you're going to want to build a hopper, and you're going to want to set up a little configuration that's very simple. Okay, so we're just going to go in just like this. We're going to do like that. You're going to go in, you're just going to dig like this, then you're going to go ahead and put your thing just like I taught you with all the other farms. Then you're going to build 2 high around the collection chamber. This is just like the cow farm. You'll notice that this is very, very similar to the cow farm. You build 2 high so that the chickens can't get out, put your little staircase, and then you're going to want to get one of your chickens in there. Now, this is the exact same thing as before, except instead of lead and wheat, you're going to use lead and seeds, okay? Because chickens love seeds. So we're going to attach our lead to our chicken, get our seeds out here so that the chicken follows us, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to get this chicken into the little area right here, which again might require us to, you know, build ourselves a little platform so that we can just kind of keep the chicken in our sights. And then once we get the chicken on top, put our seeds away as we've learned so that we have an easier way, and then get the chicken in there. Go ahead and take the lead off. The lead should fall into your hopper if it breaks. I'm in creative mode, so it won't do that. Once you have your chicken in here, you only need 1. You can get 2 or 3 if you want to do that. It's up to you. But what's going to happen is over time, this chicken is going to lay eggs, and this chest is going to start filling up with those eggs. That's why I said you can go ahead and put more chickens in here if you want. But remember the entity cramming rule, no more than 24. Okay, and then once you're actually ready to build the big farm, you'll have enough eggs to where you don't have to lead like a shitload of chickens into your farm. Okay, it's just easier this way. Trust me, build this early on in your world so that you can have a supply of eggs for when you're ready to build the big chicken farm. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get started on the actual big farm. For this farm, you're going to need 15 building blocks of your choice. I highly recommend using stone, and I'll tell you why a little bit later on. 6 glass blocks to keep an eye on your killing chamber, 2 chest, 1 dispenser, 5 hoppers, 1 comparator, 1 redstone repeater, 4 redstone dust. Hey guys, Future Kaiser here real quick during the materials section. I told you guys 4 redstone dust. It is actually going to be 6 redstone dust. It is not 4, it is 6 redstone dust. 1 lava bucket, 1 cauldron, and then 3 ladders in order to get up into the farm once we've built it. And I would recommend having at least 2 stacks of eggs once this all gets started. Okay, so first we're going to put a double chest just like this. We're going to break the block behind it, go ahead and crouch and put a hopper feeding right into that double chest. On top of that hopper, you're going to crouch and put yourself a half slab just like this, and then you're going to take out your glass blocks. You're going to put 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, just like that. Face on top of this half slab and onto this block, you're going to put yourself a cauldron, and then you're going to take a lava bucket and you're going to fill that cauldron up. This cauldron full of lava is exactly why I do not recommend using wood, because if you have fire tick on in your world, the lava from this cauldron can pop out and start burning all of your wood blocks, which would destroy your farm, and depending on how close your farm is to the rest of your stuff, potentially even your, all of your builds. So once you have that all said and done, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put a temporary block right here, and then you're going to put a dispenser facing into the slab. So you see these two eyes, you want these two eyes facing into the slab, okay? Sometimes you might have to break the glass that you put here in order to build that in. Once all that is said and done, I am now going to teach you how to set up a dispenser pulse. I don't know if that's actually what it's called, that's what I call it, but essentially this redstone signal that we are about to set up is going to make it to where anytime an egg is fed into the dispenser, it will automatically trigger in order to shoot that egg out into the killing chamber and perhaps birth a baby chicken. So standing on top of your dispenser, you're going to put a comparator like this with these two little symbols pointing toward the comparator. Then you're going to take your redstone repeater and you're going to put it like this. You want to make sure that this long redstone repeater line is going toward the comparator. What's important to remember about these two blocks is that a redstone comparator reads the redstone signal from whatever it is facing with these two torches. So in other words, if we put something into this dispenser, you will see these light up. That means that this is giving off a redstone signal of 1. And the more items you put into a dispenser, the more the redstone signal gives off. And if we put a redstone dust there, you'll see that it gives off, it's lighting up, it's got the particles. But if you put this, then this redstone dust is not turned on. So basically what is happening is that the comparator is taking the redstone signal from here and it is outputting it toward that. This is a way to power blocks without having to have a power source in front of them, if that makes sense. Next up, we're going to put a repeater just like this. With repeaters, they extend redstone signals. So they take whatever redstone signal that was going into them, and then they are able to extend it by up to 15 going that way. So if we go back over here, you see that we put this back in, this lights up that, and then we can literally just sit there and put 15 redstone dust. I'm not going to put a full 15 redstone dust, but you can see that it just keeps going and going. So repeaters basically reset a redstone signal. It is also important to understand that the line here is what the repeater is taking from, and this dot out here is where the repeater is shooting to. Now from this repeater, we're going to put one redstone dust here, one here, one here, and one here. And that's going to feed back into our comparator. And then we're going to put a redstone dust here, here, and then we are going to put a repeater here, and then we want to put a solid block here. So once we have this redstone system set up, we can actually test this entire redstone system by putting a stack of eggs into the dispenser. You should see it pulsing like this and constantly shooting out eggs in an attempt to birth baby chickens. And this is actually really cool, so I can kind of explain how this farm works from this perspective right now before we build the rest of it. The baby chickens will sit on this half slab. They are too small to actually get burned by the lava in this cauldron, but when they fully grow up into the adult chickens, like those guys over there, then you're going to see that their heads will pop into the lava will cook them, their feathers and their cooked chicken will fall down into the slab, and then it'll get fed into this chest. For the purposes of this testing, you can do more than 2 stacks of eggs that I showed you at the beginning, but it's really not that necessary. A stack of eggs should birth you at least 2 chickens, hopefully, unless you're just really unlucky. But yeah, that's basically how you can test that out, is just by putting some eggs in there, and you'll see it constantly pulsing and shooting out. Basically, what this redstone circuit is doing is this comparator is sending a, whenever this gets an egg in it, it sends a pulse out in order to actually power this dispenser to shoot it, right? So the dispenser gets an item, it sends the redstone signal in the comparator, sends that into the repeater. The repeater sends the redstone signal out to this repeater powers this block powers the dispenser, which then shoots the item out. If you did not have this redstone dust here, I'll show you. If you don't put this redstone dust that goes into the comparator, then the entire system will only shoot out one item, and then it'll just stay on. Basically, what this extra redstone dust does right here is it turns the system off, right? It allows it to turn off and on by basically kill switching the comparator and turning it off for a brief moment, right? Because when the system shoots out, it turns the comparator, it's supposed to turn the comparator off. So it's very, very like difficult to explain, but if you don't do this exactly as it is, then the system will not shoot things out. Okay, with your redstone system set up, let's go ahead and get to the rest of the build. Okay, so we're going to come over here. We're going to put a hopper into the top of this dispenser, and then we're going to come and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, just like that. You want to jump down here, make sure that these 3 hoppers are feeding into this one. This hopper is feeding into the dispenser. That way, when the chickens that you put in this area lay eggs, it'll feed the eggs down into this hopper, feeds it into the dispenser redstone pulse goes off and shoots the eggs out to try to give birth to the baby chickens. Once you have this hopper line set up, you're going to swing around all the way to the front here, hop on top of this, hop on top of this. You're going to put a temporary block here. You're going to build up 1, and then you can break this block when you're done with the build, or you can jump down and break it and then try to get back up. It's really up to you, but basically you don't need this block here. So you're going to come with this block, you're going to come out like this. You're going to put a temporary block here, put a block here, break this block, temporary block here, break this block, and then you're going to go all the way back around. And then you can go ahead and break this block, and then you're going to crouch, and you're going to put a block right there on top of that. This block being on top of that hopper does not matter, because the stems from all of these hoppers are feeding into this hopper here. So you do not need to worry about this block being here, but you're going to come back and you're going to go 1, you're going to go 2 all the way around. You want to go too high so that the chickens cannot get out. We do not want the chickens getting out. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and you're going to go 2 all the way around. Now this part of the farm is basically finished. You'll remember I said you needed 2 stacks of eggs earlier. This is where those stacks of eggs comes in, and this is where that egg farm that I showed you earlier is going to help you, because if you've had that farm running for a while you've been doing other stuff, you'll have plenty of eggs, because then you're just going to come in and just start spamming your eggs like this so that you can get as many chickens into this farm as possible. Now the great thing is that once these chickens inside of the farm grow up, you can come back with seeds and breed them and get a lot of chickens in here. Because we've got 3 blocks in here, what we're basically doing is trying to just fill this thing up with just a bunch of chickens, right? So you'll come over here every so often, you'll build your ladder system up, you'll breed your chickens and make a whole bunch of them, and you'll have them running back and forth, and all of these chickens will be laying eggs, and as they lay eggs, it'll get shot out to here. Once these chickens in the kill chamber grow up, their head hits the lava, they die, and then their stuff comes in here. The cooked chickens and the feathers and all that come in here. I would increase the tick rate to show you, but I feel like this video has been long enough as it is. And that is it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm not even going to begin to tell you how embarrassingly long it took me to film this video. I had to keep restarting and resetting, and it was just a complete mess. But hopefully the video turned out good. Hopefully you learned something that you didn't know. And if you didn't learn anything new, hopefully you enjoyed this video anyway. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next one.